Hey guys, welcome back to Southern Gal True Crime. I just want to come on here real quickly. There's been an update in the Suzanne Morphew case. She went missing from Colorado about 3.5 years ago, and a few days ago, her remains were found. So I have a update on that and a brief timeline just in case you haven't heard of this case. But I also have there is a young girl that went missing from a park in New York, Charlotte Sena. So I have some information about her that I want to bring you just to help get her information out. So we will get into it now. We will start out with Charlotte. Oh, let me get to the right slide. There we go. So Charlotte Sena, she went missing on September 30th, which is actually Saturday, from Moreau Lake State Park in Moreau, New York. She is 9 years old, white female, blonde hair, 90 pounds, 4'6" tall, with green eyes. So she was last seen on Loop A in the Moreau Lake State Park in the town of Moreau, which is in Saratoga County, New York, at approximately 6:15 p.m. on Saturday, September 30th. She was last seen wearing an orange tie-dye Pokemon shirt, dark blue pants, black Crocs, and a gray bike helmet. And I do have, get my tablet to read from. Oh my goodness, I can't even get my right pin number in here. Oh no, here we go. Okay, so this information comes from CNN.com, and it was posted yesterday, actually. It says more than 100 people are searching for a 9-year-old girl who went missing while camping with friends and family members Saturday in upstate New York, the governor said. Charlotte Sena was camping in Moreau Lake State Park with her family. She had gone on a bike ride with friends around dinner time Saturday evening, New York Governor Kathy Hochul said in a news conference Sunday. After biking a couple of loops together, they said that she wanted to go around one more time by herself. She wanted to be a big girl and do it by herself. When Charlotte didn't return, roughly 15 minutes later, her parents knew immediately that something was wrong. They began calling her name. People from around the campgrounds joined in the search. She was last seen around 6:15 p.m. riding her bike in one of the park's loops. Lieutenant Colonel Richard L. Mazzone of the New York State Police said in the news conference. At about 6:45, her bike was found in the loop. 2 minutes later, her mother called authorities to report her missing. She was last seen, like I said, wearing the orange tie-dyed Pokemon shirt, dark blue pants, the black Crocs, and the gray bicycle helmet. And this was according to a description provided by the state police. White, blonde hair, 4'6" tall, with green eyes. An Amber Alert was issued Sunday morning. Lieutenant Mazzone said, "We took that step of issuing the Amber Alert because we felt after our exhaustive search, when we couldn't find her, it was quite possible that an abduction had taken place." So that is the very scary part. This children is just so scary. You just want to keep your children close to you, because you never know when something like this could happen. It's not confirmed that it's been an abduction, but since her bicycle was found, she has not been found. No evidence of her has been found. As of right now, they are considering it most likely highest on their list, an abduction. said for more than 18 hours, the state authorities searched for her. They deployed aviation and underwater rescue teams. Bloodhounds, drones, and technology experts have also been called in to analyze other forms of communications in the park at that time. I thought that was an interesting statement. Maybe they're pinging or going to cell phone towers to see any cell phone pings that were in the area. Possibly, I'm just assuming. All right, what else? So in Charlotte, it does say that she is the niece of a member of the Schenectady Fire Department, who is also helping with the search. She said, we're leaving no stone, branch, table, cabin unturned, untouched, or unexamined in our search to find Charlotte. It says, if you know anything, if you see anything, if you hear anything, please contact 911 to tell us what you know. Charlotte's a fourth grader. She was recently elected to be a class officer for her student council. A statement said her hearts are broken here today in New York. Hopefully there will be a reunion. Hopefully there will be a family that has been traumatized but is reunited. That is our prayer and our hope. Now the scary part is, or one of the scary parts, it says that this Moreau Lake State Park, which is in Saratoga County, is more than 4,600 acres, and it lies amid hardwood forests, pine stands, and rocky ridges. So that is a lot of area to cover, to search. If she has been abducted, I'm going off the assumption that they think if she has been abducted, that this would be most likely the area that the offender would have taken her, done whatever she, I don't know why I said she, most likely he, do what an offender does and could have hidden her body somewhere in this vast, forested, rocky, ridgy area. So, we will just, and it does say the park said in a Facebook post that the park is closed until further notice, of course. Like I said, it's a big area, big crime scene to investigate. So it might not be open for a long time, but hopefully there will, they'll find Charlotte unharmed, but we can hope for the best. Just send out positive vibes and prayers and thoughts to the family members and to all the first responders and volunteers who are helping search for Charlotte. So, of course, if you have any information, like I said, call 911 and report anything. Like the saying goes, if you see something, say something. So it's very important to try to find this little girl and hopefully bring her home safely. Okay, so next we have Suzanne Morphew. Her remains were found a few days ago. She went missing 3.5 years ago from Colorado. And her on September 22nd, her remains were found. Agents with the Colorado Bureau of Investigation located human remains during the course of a search on September 22nd. Investigators were searching in the area of Moffett, which is in, I'm going to butcher this, Saugache County. Now, the reason they were searching is unrelated to Susan's case. They were actually searching for a different missing person. And I lost my place. Sorry. Once again, it's very late, and so they were searching in this area on an investigation not related to Susan's disappearance when the remains were discovered. So it was just blind luck. And and God's intervention that while on this search for this other missing person, that they found Susan's remains. And I got an article. I have an article too. I'm going to read about this case that has some very interesting information about. Apparently, there have been several remains that have been found in this same area. So, and we'll get into in the timeline. Her husband was initially arrested and charged with. I don't think at the time it wasn't for her killing, because that was before the remains were found. But he was, anyway, we'll get into what he was arrested for. So a statement from her family says, over the last 3 years, countless hours have been spent looking for Suzanne by a determined group who have never given up hope that she would be found. We look forward to finding long-awaited justice for Suzanne in the successful prosecution of those involved in her disappearance. So they say those because, of course, at this point we don't know who the offender is, who possibly abducted and took the life of Suzanne. Like I said, now they found the remains, it's going to be probably a while before they find out any information. They have to do the autopsy and everything. And with the remain, it being 3.5 years since her remains were found, I don't know. I'm just gonna guess, just to go into the assumption that they're probably mostly skeletal. So if whatever they find, possibly signs of trauma to the bones, maybe blunt force trauma, if that was it, nicks on the bones, if it were from a sharp object used, wounds to the head if a firearm was used. But like I said, we won't know anything until and unless they release the autopsy report. Okay, so I'll give you a brief timeline, just in case, like I said, just in case you haven't heard of this case. So on May 6th of 2020, Suzanne has sent her husband, Barry, a text indicating that she wanted to end their relationship. This text was released by court documents, and it read, "I'm done. I could care less what you're up to, and have been for years. We just need to figure this out civilly." And investigators later discovered that Barry tried to delete this message. So we have those text messages. Come on. And so, according to this, there are more text messages that, according to court documents, 59 communications were exchanged between Suzanne and the man who was allegedly her boyfriend. Now, I did read, and I don't know if it's the article that I'm going to read to you, that allegedly, both Suzanne and her husband, Barry, had been both having affairs around the same time. So, all right, on May 10th of 2020, that was the last time that Suzanne was last seen alive. Her bicycle was found down a steep ravine off Chaffee County Road, 225 from Highway 50. Deputies documented that the bicycle did not look like it had been involved in the crash, and no blood was recovered from the scene. So you would assume, or I would assume, or think that if she had been out riding her bike and had an accident and went off this ravine, the bike would have been scratched up, and if she would have been hurt during this crash, or it had killed her with the crash, this accidental death, that her body would have been found there. But her body was found in a shallow grave. So they basically, I'm sure, basically ruled out accidental death from a bike accident. So on October 7th of 2020, her husband Barry, he spoke with CBS News Colorado, and he shared photos and love letters after Suzanne's disappearance, and he also shared a theory that he believed that she had been abducted. So, but of course, we all know cases like this, somebody goes missing, the first person they're going to look at is a spouse or significant other. So, so fast forward to May 5th of 2021, Barry is, well, he is arrested for her homicide. He, as you see on the picture on the right, he was charged with first-degree homicide, tampering with evidence, and attempting to influence a public servant. Now, I haven't went and researched this case a whole lot. I've kind of kept up with it in the news. So I don't know what the tampering with evidence or the attempting to influence a public servant is all about. But if any of you, I'm sure there's some of you watching that have followed this case, so please let me know in the comments anything that you may know about this case that I don't know or haven't included in this video. So after nearly a year of Suzanne's disappearance, Barry is charged with first-degree homicide and tampering with physical evidence, among other charges. Prosecutors spelled out what they believe happened to Suzanne, saying it had become clear to them that Barry could not control Suzanne's insistence on leaving him, and he resorted to something he has done his entire life: hunt and control Suzanne like he had hunted and controlled animals. So like I said, I haven't done deep research into this case, so I don't know if there was history of DV in the relationship, with things of that nature. But it is a little suspicious that, from what I understand, she went missing not too long after this text that she sent to her husband and saying that she wanted to end their relationship. It's just a thought. I'm not saying one way or another if her husband did it or not. But that's just, I thought that was interesting. All right. So according to the arrest affidavit, apparently there was some kind of spy pen that had recorded Barry listening to multiple episodes of Forensic Files. And it says that one of the episodes that this pen recording picked up on was an episode where the victim went missing after riding her bike. So that's another little suspicious, maybe red flag information. And it also says on May 13th of 2020, a deputy took photos of scratches on Barry's left arm. So this, I'm assuming, is part of the probable cause. Of course, they're not going to list everything that they found. They keep certain stuff. They just, in the arrest affidavits, they just, from what I understand, just put in enough of information to obtain the warrant for the arrest. Now, if I'm wrong, please let me know. Because like I said, I'm by in no means any kind of expert lawyer. I don't have anything to do with law enforcement. I'm just interested in true crime cases and helping find the missing. So anyway, so next, so his attorney, Barry's attorney, released a statement that said what needs to be done, instead of pointing fingers at Barry Morphew, is asking the officials about the number of missing people and number of human remains that have been recovered in or from this Saugache County in the recent past. So that's what I was saying about apparently, and there's more information about it in the article I'm going to read to you. Apparently, there have been a lot of remains found in this area. So that would kind of, in my thinking, another possible scenario is that maybe there is some kind of serial offender operating in that area. Just something to you have to look at the whole big picture and narrow it down. As one other creator, former law enforcement that I watch on YouTube, he says you start with possibilities and narrow it down to probabilities. So I'm sure that the maybe a serial offender operating in the area is a possibility. So, all right. So on March 1st of 2022, Barry's lawyer asked for a dismissal of his charges. Barry's lawyer asked for a case dismissal after they look at internal affairs documentation from the agent in charge, who was a gentleman named Joe Cahill. In this internal documentation, Cahill says the arrest of the suspect, meaning Barry, now is the worst decision that could have been made. He went on to say the arrest of the suspect in this investigation was premature, and he called it hasty. So in other words, he did not agree with the arrest of Barry Morphew for one reason or another. All right. So on April 19th, 2022, the judge does dismiss the charges. After a careful review of the information, the judge dismissed the case against Barry. The 11th Judicial District Attorney filed a motion to dismiss without prejudice, which means that charges could be filed against him again at a later date if they win and if they find any more evidence or reason to believe that he had anything to do with the death of his wife. All right, so September 22nd, 2023, female human remains are discovered in a shallow grave during the course of a search in the area of Moffett in Saugatche County. On an investigation that was not related to Suzanne's disappearance. The bones, so they were skeletal, are located in a remote field of sagebrush and grass. So this tells me, in just my thinking, that this most likely was not an accidental death. This was somebody who, whether it be her husband, a crime of opportunity, she was out biking and somebody happened upon her, a bad man, and harmed her, or a possible serial offender, another theory or possibility operating in the area, harmed her and then took her out to this remote location and buried her body. But please let me know what any of you watching, your thoughts are. Like I said, y'all, some of y'all watching out there probably have a lot more information, have researched it more than I have. So I would love to know any information that you have. You can leave it in the comments, or you can email me at wildirishrose71@gmail.com, and I will be happy to pass on the information in another video and give you credit for it if you want credit, or it can be anonymous. So on the 27th, the CBI, which is, I'm assuming means the Colorado Bureau of Investigation, say that the remains were positively identified as those of Suzanne Morphew. And of course, the investigation is an ongoing investigation. Come on with the slides. Okay, so now I have, give get my tablet back out. I hate reading from a tablet because I feel like I'm not connecting, but it would have been too many. Once again, a zillion slides I would have had to make to bring you this information. All right, let me get it going. Okay, my tablet's being slow, of course. And this article, there were, of course, 1,000 articles, but I found this one because it has a lot of little tidbits of interesting information. So it comes from Fox News, and it was published on September 29th of this year. And it says, missing Colorado mother Suzanne Morphew's remains were found Wednesday in a shallow grave, according to an attorney who is representing Barry Morphew and their 2 daughters. Authorities on Wednesday announced that Morphew's remains were located in the area of Moffett, Colorado, in Sagache. I still don't know if I'm saying that right. I apologize if I'm not. In Sagache County, about 45 miles south of her home, which is in Maysville, Colorado, where she was reported missing. According to the authorities, Suzanne was not found anywhere in the vicinity of her home, the town nearby, or even the county that she lived in. So, if I'm remembering correctly, she went for a bike ride. And unless she was just a marathon bike rider, 45 miles would be a long way to ride a bicycle. So that tells me in my thinking that, and I can't remember now, I think in this article it does tell, I don't remember now at this moment how far away her bike was found from her home. But her body was found 45 miles from her home in a completely different county. So that tells me that whatever happened to her, which in my opinion, most likely an abduction, or her husband had something to do with it. Whoever abducted her drove her 45 miles, did whatever he did to her, and buried her body in a shallow grave. This is just all my opinion. According to authorities, okay, I already read that part. Her remains were found in a shallow grave in a dry desert field of sagebrush and natural grasses, which this is contrary to prior accusations. Her remains were not found in a rocky mountainous region near her home, and not in a location that was a difficult spot to get to. So yeah, she was not found near her home. Unclear right now as well if the bicycle was found close to the home or not. Sagache County officials came across Suzanne's remains while searching for another woman named Edna Quintana. Aton said, which I'm assuming is one of the investigators. And of course, the coroner positively identified the remains as Suzanne's. It says prosecutors had previously said that they were close to finding Suzanne's remains, but needed more time to search because they were in a difficult spot. So this is what they were saying. It went back to saying that they were not found, contrary to what has been said. They were not found in a difficult spot to get to that was close to her home. All right. Okay, so her bicycle was discovered in a ravine along Highway 50 and County Road 25 in Chaffee County, near her family's Mayfield home, the same day that she went missing. So they found did find the bike close to her home the day that she went missing. According to Barry, he said he was working in Broomfield, Colorado, which is a suburb of a suburb of Denver at the time. Of course, he was initially, as we went over, he was initially accused of the crime and tampering with evidence. They dropped the charges. Trying to find this information that I thought was it's Eton, which may be Barry's lawyer. Says the first and most important focus should be the Morphews. They just learned that they lost their mother and wife after she disappeared 3.5 years ago. What appears to be the overriding focus is a finger pointing right back where it started 3.5 years ago, a movement to blindly reaccuse Barry Morphew for Suzanne's death. So apparently, investigators may still think that Barry did have something to do with her disappearance and her death. Says neither the FBI, Colorado Bureau of Investigation, Chaffee County Sheriff's Office, nor the 11th Judicial District suggested over the past 3 years that Barry was in any area south of his home, near Moffett, or anywhere near the county at any relevant time frame. And this is coming from, keep in mind, this is coming from his attorney. It would be ludicrous for anyone to now try to fit the now known facts to prior false assumptions and accusations. Okay, so this is the information I found that was very, very interesting. It says that no signs of human remains or blood were ever located near the Morphew home. However, DNA was found on Susan Morphew's glove box, which I'm assuming a glove box in a vehicle. The partial profile that investigators were able to obtain matched profiles that were developed in SA cases out of Chicago, Phoenix, and Tempe, Arizona. CBI agent Joseph Cahill said during a hearing in 2021, which was reported by the Denver Post, Barry's DNA did not match that sample. So, this, like I said, is very interesting. They find this DNA sample in her glove box in her vehicle, which the only thing that really doesn't make sense is if she was abducted while she was on her bicycle. But this DNA was found in the glove box, which I'm assuming, like I said, is a glove box in her vehicle. But nonetheless, the most interesting part is that the DNA matches back to SA cases out of Chicago, Phoenix, and Tempe, Arizona. So I want to know more about this DNA evidence, but of course, we will have to wait and hope that they do release some of that information. All right, let's see if there's anything else that I found interesting in here. Oh, it says what needs to be done instead of pointing fingers at Barry Morphew is asking the officials about the number of missing people and number of human remains that have been discovered in or from Sagache County in the recent past. So this is another reason that I'm thinking on this theory of a possible serial offender. Now, like I said, this is just my thinking and my guessing, or not guessing, theorizing. But you have the DNA that was linked to these other cases found in Suzanne's case, and then you have all these other missing people and human remains that have been found in the same area. So to me, that's kind of leaning a little bit toward a possible serial offender. but like I said, we'll have to wait and see. So it says 5 people have disappeared or been found deceased in that same area, which includes Suzanne, this Edna Quintana, who is the lady that they were searching for when they found Suzanne's remains, a lady named Crystal Reisinger, an unidentified man whose remains were found on July 26th, and then another unidentified person whose remains were located in the county last weekend. And it says text messages from Suzanne and Barry that were unsealed in June suggest that both were having affairs just before Suzanne's disappearance. So that part, that information would kind of lean toward Barry maybe having something to do with it, or possibly if Suzanne was having an affair with whoever, with a gentleman, and maybe she told this gentleman that she was going to get divorced from her husband and get with this man, and didn't go through with it, and it angered this man she was possibly having an affair with, and that could be another avenue to investigate. All right, anything else? Well, I think we went over the text message 4 days before she disappeared. She sent Barry a text saying that she was done. She couldn't care less what he had been up to, and she hadn't cared for years, and that they needed to figure things out civilly. No other arrests have been made in this case, and of course the charges against Barry were dismissed without prejudice, which I talked about before, which means that they can go back and charge him at a later date if they find evidence that links him to her case. The Sheriff John Spezzi said that while this case has garnered attention from around the world, it has touched our community and the Sheriff's Office deeply. We have never stopped our investigation, and we will continue to follow all leads in pursuit of justice for Suzanne. Absolutely. He added, although locating Suzanne's remains is a critical component of this investigation and for her family, investigators are left with many more questions than answers, obviously. Authorities are asking anyone with information about the case to contact 719-312-7530. All right. So that is the latest on the Suzanne Morphew case. Remains were found 3.5 years later. Ongoing investigation. It's just, to me, my thoughts. I would definitely, and I'm sure they are, I would definitely be looking into these other missing persons and remains that have been found in the same area that Suzanne's remains were found in. To me, that's a big something. Once again, as another creator a watch says, it could be something, it could be nothing. To me, I'm thinking it might be something, possibly a serial offender. Either a serial offender or crime of opportunity. But I just keep going back to, with all those remains and missing persons found in the same place, it could possibly be a dumping ground for a serial offender. But that's just my opinion. But please leave me your opinions and your thoughts on this case. Just always be respectful of the victims, families, and each other. Okay, so I think that is all the information I had. Like I said, I was going to make it quick, but it turns out it's 40 minutes. So I will be back. I will be back later, as soon as I get done uploading this video. I will upload the Missing Person Monday video. I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to start doing the Missing Person Monday videos in the late morning, early afternoon, instead of waiting till later at night, because I do this through my phone, and my phone service is very slow. So by the time I get it uploaded, sometimes it's 9 or 10 o'clock at night. So, and I'm off on Mondays, so that gives me a chance to um, upload it earlier in the day. So maybe you guys will have more of a chance to watch the videos. Okay, so I'm babbling again. So, like I said, once again, I'll be back in a little bit with the Missing Person Monday video, and it is some more what I'm calling suspicious disappearances, 5 cold cases. So I will see y'all in a bit. Thanks for watching.